Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are talking about how to deal with boredom. And this is basically inspired by a conversation I had with a friend, and he was basically telling me how he just feels like life is boring and that, the adults around him, he still considers himself a bit of a kid. And he said, like, the adults around me all seem so boring. They just go home and hang out with the wife, and, it's just boring. And I totally sympathize with that perspective because in my early 20s, I looked at everybody and just thought, man, why is everybody so boring? What the heck? I think it isn't until you get some nuance and you start to realize that other people's lives are hopefully interesting to them. Obviously, we all deal with boredom in some way or another. Um, Unfortunately, my generation has become inundated with things like TikTok and Instagram and social media, and you know, uh, it's all fast paced media. It's designed to keep our attention, and it's designed to be quick. It isn't the case where you watch a half an hour television show or, God forbid, an hour long television show. That's not going to keep my attention. And I think as a result, we tend to view the older generation who grew up with more traditional forms of media as kind of boring, and it's all the same. They go home after work and, have a beer with the buddies and go home, watch a show. It's all so repetitive and so boring. But, that is kind of how life has existed for thousands of years, if you think about it. Back when we were primitive farming creatures, just farming crops, and there wasn't a whole lot to do. And so we created other areas that interested us. We fermented alcohol, we did all of these things that tried to fill the space while we were growing food, or those campfire nights, just sat chatting, storytelling, all kinds of mythology. We have filled our space with things to interact and do. And to many people, all of that can get very monotonous and very boring. And I'm thankful that I don't have to deal with this super often. Obviously, it does happen where I'll just be sitting in the evening and I've done all of my work. I don't have anybody to talk to, and I'm just, what do I do? I don't know. Jeez. And this whole topic can be very frustrating depending on who you are and where you are and what you're doing in life. But I think that is where it comes time to cultivate interests in other things, to maybe break out of the monotony and break out of your routine. I've talked a lot about how routines are super important, but they can be monotonous and they can get you into a rut and make you feel like you're just going through the motions. I'm on the spectrum. I'm neurodivergent, and so I like the motions. I like the rut. The rut is safety. But if you don't find it like that, then I do encourage you to reach out to different hobbies and interests. And you might not even realize, but thankfully our hyper paced, short attention span social media gives you an opportunity to see things that might interest you. Recently, I have been watching a lot of videos on stonemasonry, just molding marble, chipping away, creating sculptures, creating beautiful designs. And I am never looking for things to do. I'm a busy guy. I enjoy my hobbies. You guys know I'm into archery and baking and all kinds of things like that. And so I'm not particularly looking for a new hobby, but I have to say I'm really interested in stonemasonry, and the idea of making like a marble bust of my dog. I'm really intrigued by that. But to be super serious, if you're struggling with boredom, I really suggest going onto social media really carefully and thoughtfully and observing the videos that you see on your For You page, on your Instagram reels, on your YouTube reels, whatever it is, and just analyzing what is a hobby that I'm inherently interested in, that, the algorithm is showing you because you watch the full video. What am I interested in, and why don't I get into it? Why don't I, instead of watching all of these pottery videos, or I don't know, there's beekeeping, there's a million and one crazy interests and hobbies that people are exploring and sharing with others on social media. And why not just get into one? Pick one. Pick one that you think, hey, that's kind of cool. It's not a huge barrier to entry. And just explore, learn. You don't necessarily have to go out that night and look for, a beehive and all of the beekeeping stuff. But what is stopping you from opening up a new exciting chapter of your life? If you have always watched people play the piano and just sort of loved the beautiful noise, the beautiful music, why not just start? There's online pianos that you can just start learning from. You can get a little keyboard. There's a million and one ways to occupy yourself. And social media can be the solution to the problem. Social media has been the problem because it sort of gives us this short attention span and makes us feel like we need to be go, 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 do this, move here, do that, Instagram picture this. But you are inherently interested in things. That is one of the great things about humanity, is that we are curious, we are interested, we want to be occupied with difficult things. So choose something that's not necessarily easy to do and go for it, explore it, and endeavor to be interesting. I think it's so important to have a well-versed set of hobbies or interests, that go beyond just going to the gym or reading a book, or, we need, as humans, we need to have the capacity to feel like we're doing good at something and that we're learning to do something well. So I don't know. It's the same advice I gave him, but I figured, you know what? I think a lot of people struggle with boredom and struggle with monotony and feeling like, man, I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again. But there is a solution. And I think there are a million and one ways that you can find out what you're interested in, and then you just go for it. You shoot for it. And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. How many times have I started something that I thought I was going to get really into and just decided, actually, this really isn't for me? That's fine. It's okay. Just don't bet the farm on this new hobby. Get into it slowly. Learn to do it properly and from the basics. Don't just jump into trying to make a marble statue of your dog. You're going to have to learn how to do the basics of the skill before you do the amazing stuff that you see on TikTok. But it all takes time and it all takes effort. And at the end of the day, it is the perfect cure for boredom. So there you go. That's my 2 cents. Hope it helped. It's just a little piece of random advice for your day. And I hope it occupied some time and gave you some interesting ideas. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.